A new contender for the title of the best budget smartphone has arrived. Yes, I'm talking about the new Asus Zenfone Max Pro. From the looks of it, the Zenfone Max Pro packs in everything you could want in an amazing budget smartphone. So, is the Zenfone Max Pro the new budget king? Let's find out. What's up guys, I am back. This is Rupesh from bwom.com and this here is the Asus Zenfone Max Pro. Yeah, that's a long name, but long names aside, this here seems like a rather great budget smartphone. So what are we waiting for? Let's get to the review of the Asus Zenfone Max Pro. But before we get started, how about you hit the bell icon to get notified every time we post an awesome new video. Also, this video has been brought to you by Wix.com, which lets you create some stunning websites. I'll talk more about Wix at the end of this video, so stay tuned for that. Now then, let's get to the review. When I first got hands-on with the Zenfone Max Pro, I had a couple of thoughts. The first thought was that this looks a lot like the Redmi Note 5 and Note 5 Pro, especially from the front. I mean, look at them side by side, it's hard to tell them apart. My second thought was that the Zenfone Max Pro does feel a bit hefty. It's not bulky, I mean, it weighs 180 grams, which is a gram less than the Redmi Note 5 Pro. But the phone does feel thick and solid, and that might be due to the massive 5000 mAh battery packs. Look, the phone's pretty comfortable to hold, so I'm not complaining. What I want to complain about is the back of this phone. I just find the metal back of the Zenfone Max Pro, how do I put it, boring. And it's a fingerprint magnet. It gets dirty pretty easily and it's definitely not pleasing to the eye. The back has the fingerprint scanner like most phones these days, and it's located perfectly. But there are times when it does not detect my finger and it doesn't even notify me through a vibration or a screen wake up. I'm hoping Asus fixes this with an update. Apart from that, I really like the buttons on the Zenfone Max Pro. They are tactile and just feel nice and clicky. Then there's the notification LED, the headphone jack, the triple slots for 2 SIM cards and a micro SD card, and the micro USB port at the bottom. Yeah, micro USB port, no USB-C. Overall, the Zenfone Max Pro is definitely not a stunner. And honestly, if you ask me which one to choose between the Redmi Note 5 and the Zenfone Max Pro when it comes to looks, I'll go with the Redmi Note 5. The design is definitely generic, but the display on this thing is beautiful. The Zenfone Max Pro comes with a 5.99-inch Full HD Plus IPS LCD display, and the display here has great color reproduction, good contrast, and it's decent even in direct sunlight. Well, the display here is definitely great. There's no Gorilla Glass or any type of glass protection here, which is really disappointing. But if you can ignore that, the display here is great, and it's an 18:9 display, which makes for a really immersive multimedia experience. And the experience is complemented by some decent speakers. The speakers are bottom firing and they get pretty loud. But the bass isn't very good and the treble gets a tad uncomfortably high at higher volumes. Having said that, the Zenfone Max Pro does ship with a passive Max box amplifier, which does boost the audio experience. I mean, just listen to this. It's pretty awesome, right? Moving on to the cameras on the Zenfone Max Pro. The Zenfone Max Pro comes with a 13+5 megapixel dual camera setup with a single LED flash. I know there's no dual LED flash, but come on, who even uses flash to take photos anymore? Anyways, let's talk photos. In daytime, the photos captured by the Zenfone Max Pro are decent to okayish. I mean, the photos are sharp and nice, but they lack details and the colors are a bit too oversaturated and warm. I know some people prefer that, but I'm not one of those people, so it's pretty subjective. When it comes to low light photos, the Zenfone Max Pro is average, like most of the phones in this price range. The photos lack details and just aren't sharp enough. Let's compare it with the Redmi Note 5 Pro. As you can see, the photos from the Redmi Note 5 Pro have more natural colors and more details. And it's not just daytime. I prefer the Redmi Note 5 Pro photos even in low light shots. Now let's move on to portrait mode shots. In good lighting, the Zenfone Max Pro takes decent to great portrait shots. And it's pretty decent even in low light. I mean, take a look at this photo. It's so good. The portrait mode here compares very well against the Note 5 Pro. So yes, the Zenfone Max Pro does have a pretty good portrait mode. The Zenfone Max Pro also comes with 4K video recording, which is nice to see in a budget smartphone. But the performance here is below average. The videos captured by the Zenfone Max Pro aren't very stable, and the camera has problems focusing. It does have EIS, and here's a 1080p video shot from the phone. Well, it's better than the 4K video, but when compared to the Note 5 Pro, you can see that it's just not good enough. Then there's the 8 megapixel front camera, which comes with a portrait mode, and it's pretty good. In good light, the phone takes some great portrait shots. Just look at this photo, it's so impressive. In low light, things aren't as good, especially when compared to the Note 5 Pro's front portrait mode, but I'd say it's decent enough. Overall, the cameras on the Asus Zenfone Max Pro are decent, especially for the price they're being offered at. But when you compare it to the Redmi Note 5 Pro, they are rather underwhelming. Asus has promised to bring software updates to improve the cameras, so here's hoping they do. Next up, let's talk about the performance. The phone comes with the octa-core Snapdragon 636 processor and has up to 6 gigs of RAM. We have the 3GB variant of the phone, and in benchmark tests, the phone is on par with the Redmi Note 5 Pro, which features the same processor. But that's just numbers. The phone performs really well in real-world usage too. Look, I've been using the Zenfone Max Pro as my primary phone, and I can tell you that the phone performs really well. It handles multiple apps, intensive games like PUBG, like a pro. I'm bad at PUBG, but the phone's definitely a pro. There is some stutter when you have a ton of apps open in the background, but that's something very rare. Overall, the performance here is positive, and that's also because the Max Pro comes with almost stock Android. Yes, gone is the Zen UI and all its razzmatazz. The Zenfone Max Pro comes with Android 8.1 Oreo, and as I mentioned, it's almost stock, and that's because there are some apps pre-installed. There are 3 Asus apps here: a sound recorder app, a calculator app, and an FM radio app. Plus there are some other apps like a Tap to Go app, which is also integrated right into the system. Facebook, Instagram, and even Messenger is pre-installed, but I don't think I can call these bloatware apps. Along with these apps, the Android build here comes with various cool gestures like double tap to wake or lock the device, letter gestures to open certain apps or shortcuts, etc. These gestures are certainly very handy, and I especially like the double tap to wake and lock gestures. Well, that's pretty much all the additional features, and Asus has said that they will be bringing Face Unlock to the device soon through a future update, which is awesome. Also, this is not an Android One phone, but Asus has promised updates till Android Q. Again, awesome. Talking about awesome things, the Zenfone Max Pro comes with a massive 5000 mAh battery, and quite expectedly, the battery performance here is just amazing. I mean, starting the day with 100% battery, the Zenfone Max Pro would barely get to around 50% by the end of the day, and that's like at midnight because, well, we here at BBOM work really hard. I mean, the phone easily lasted me around 2 days on a single charge. I am definitely impressed. Plus, the Zenfone Max supports fast charging, and there is a 10-watt fast charger in the box. The phone goes from 10 to 100% in around 2 hours, and that is impressive. I know it sounds like a lot of time, but it's a 5000 mAh battery we're talking about. If you remember our ultimate charging test video, phones with around 3000 mAh batteries like the Mi 6 take around 1.5 hours to fully charge. So 2 hours for 5000 mAh is actually pretty good. Lastly, a lot of you guys have been worried about the fact that the Zenfone Max Pro does not support 5 GHz Wi-Fi. Now that is something that requires a lot of detail, and so we have a detailed article on the same that you can check out from the link in the description below. Well, that was all about the Zenfone Max Pro. So is it really the new budget king? Well, it is not, but it definitely gets close. Look, the Zenfone Max Pro has a beautiful display. It's got great performance. There's stock Android Oreo with promised updates till Android Q, and it has a massive 5000 mAh battery. That's a lot of positives. And I know the camera is rather ordinary, but I think they're decent enough at this price range. And the negatives, well, there's two: the bland design and the lack of any glass protection. So, should you buy the Zenfone Max Pro, which starts at Rs 10,999? Well, if you're confused between the Zenfone Max Pro and the Redmi Note 5, the Zenfone Max Pro is just better. There's just no doubt here. In fact, the Zenfone Max Pro makes a pretty good case against the Redmi Note 5 Pro too. but falls behind when it comes to the looks and the camera. And that's the 3GB variant we are talking about. Maybe the 6GB variant with a better camera can beat the Redmi Note 5 Pro's camera. Anyways, the answer is yes. Starting at Rs 10,999, the Zenfone Max Pro is a phone that I'll recommend. Its pros far outweigh its cons. Plus, Flipkart is offering the complete protection plan with the phone at just Rs 49, which just makes the deal even sweeter. Another thing you'll find sweet is Wix.com, which lets you create some great websites. I mean, it does not matter if you're creating your first website or you're a professional website builder. Wix is for everyone. I tried out Wix to build my website and I did a fairly good job in just a few minutes. With Wix, you can create a business website, a website for your online store, photography, music, events, blogs, basically just about anything. Plus, you get so many templates and advanced tools like Wix Videos, Wix Pro Gallery, Wix Bookings, etc. So, what are you waiting for? Check out Wix from the link in the description below. Well, that was our review of the Asus Zenfone Max Pro. What do you think about it? Will you be buying the Asus Zenfone Max Pro over the Redmi Note 5 series? Tell us in the comment section down below. Also, give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends who are looking to buy the Asus Zenfone Max Pro. Lastly, subscribe to our channel for more amazing tech videos. Well, that's me signing off. Thanks for watching and I will see you in the next one.